I should have been the first question, quite frankly, Ken. Can you believe there was a live tackling period in the Kevin Stefanski training camp?
Amazing.
Yes, I told you guys months ago that this was going to be a much different camp, and certainly it already is. But
Where's the Browns are completely overlooking the best quarterback in their camp? Not because of talent, not because of effort, but because he's not the guy they expected to be great. Right now, the battle between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders is quietly becoming one of the most lopsided quarterback showdowns in the NFL preseason. And not in the way most people predicted. One is throwing lasers, reading defenses like a veteran, and showing serious poise under pressure. The other, struggling, badly. Yet somehow the Reds keep going to the wrong guy. It's got fans asking, is this a true competition? Or is the coaching staff already locked in on a decision? Because the numbers aren't close. The film isn't close. And what's happening behind the scenes? Yeah, that's where the story really gets interesting. Coming into Browns camp, all eyes were on Dillon Gabriel.
tough to get 4 guys first-team reps, so I understand why it probably hasn't happened yet. But I do think he has earned the opportunity because he throws an incredibly good ball, a very catchable ball.
6 years of college experience, a reputation for high-level decision-making, and a media narrative framing him as the smartest QB in the room. Some even claimed he had first-round talent from the neck up. Coaches praised his processing speed, and it sounded like the job was his to lose. But that's exactly what's happening. While Gabriel was being handed praise, Shedeur Sanders was quietly grinding and outperforming. No hype, no headlines, just results. From the jump, Shedeur's throws had velocity, accuracy, and command. His presence in the pocket looked calm, not chaotic. And as each practice passed, the contrast between them grew impossible to ignore. Yet somehow, Gabriel kept getting the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't just about who looked better. It was about who was better. The numbers told one story. The film told the same one. Still, the coaching decisions didn't seem to match what was happening on the field.
And he's just so accurate. His ball placement is excellent. They had a play at the end of practice the other day. He had a great rollout and a throw there kind of in that live period at the end of practice.
No one expected Sanders to outshine a sixth-year veteran. But now, that's exactly what's unfolding. And it's leaving fans wondering why the guy dominating camp isn't being treated like the frontrunner. Day 8 of training camp changed everything. Dillon Gabriel stepped onto the field and delivered what's now being called one of the worst quarterback performances of the entire camp. 3 completions on 14 attempts, 1 interception, and a confidence level that visibly cracked under pressure. The reps weren't easy. The defense brought heat with complex blitz looks and late movement at the line. But that's exactly the kind of situation an NFL-ready quarterback is supposed to thrive in. Instead, Gabriel looked lost. Misreads, off-target throws, and indecisiveness plagued nearly every snap. Even when he wasn't sacked, the decisions he made with the ball were questionable at best.
They want somebody who's going to be able to run the offense, minimize mistakes, make good decisions, things like that. They use those words a lot, processing speed and decision-making, when they talked about Dillon Gabriel, especially in the spring. Don't forget, he has a whole lot of experience from college football, 6 years worth. So they were impressed with his processing speed to the point where they said, like in the spring, they were putting more on his plate than they initially thought they were going.
One throw in particular raised eyebrows. A red zone pass under heavy pressure that never should have left his hand. Was it a pick? That's still being debated. But the fact that it's even debatable tells you all you need to know. Observers on the ground described him as flustered and rattled. Fans watching the footage couldn't believe this was the same player being hyped for his elite IQ. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse, Shedeur Sanders stepped up and made the gap look even wider. While Dillon Gabriel was unraveling, Shedeur Sanders was putting on a clinic. Same field, same defense, different outcome entirely. 7 completions on 10 attempts, a clean touchdown, no interceptions, and more importantly, total control. His throws weren't just accurate, they were strategic. He fit passes into tight windows, threaded lasers between defenders, and showed next-level chemistry with his receivers.
They are intrigued by Dillon Gabriel. They think from the neck up, he is a number one pick from the neck.
One clip in particular showed Shedeur staring down a linebacker, trusting his man, and firing a missile into traffic. The kind of throw that says, yeah, I belong here. And this wasn't a fluke. This was part of a pattern. Sanders has now strung together multiple clean practices with no picks, solid reads, and smart decision-making under pressure. His mechanics look sharper, his footwork smoother, his pre-snap command more confident. Every snap tells the same story. This isn't a college kid feeling things out. This is a quarterback growing into the job in real time. The more you watch, the harder it is to ignore. He's not just surviving camp, he's quietly dominating it. And while coaches keep calling Gabriel the processor, it's Shedeur who's making all the right reads and all the right moves. Here's where things get weird. Despite Shedeur Sanders consistently outplaying Dillon Gabriel, the narrative hasn't caught up, at least not inside the building.
Heller and DeJuan Jones and Conklin and Posick and these guys out there, he doesn't have Judy and Njoku. He's playing with the second team offense against Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and Schlesinger and all these guys. And
Gabriel continues to receive praise from coaches and local media for his elite processing and veteran presence. The same qualities that, ironically, he struggled to demonstrate on the field. Meanwhile, Sanders, who's showing poise, control, and command, gets tagged with criticism Gabriel seems immune to. One reporter claimed Shedeur's biggest issue was pre-snap adjustments and protection calls. But go back and watch Gabriel's interception. He was completely fooled by a disguised blitz, misread the pressure, and threw into a collapsing zone. That's exactly the type of mistake he's supposed to be avoiding. So why the disconnect? Some say it's bias. Others chalk it up to reputation. Gabriel's experience gives him the benefit of the doubt, even when he doesn't earn it. Sanders, on the other hand, is treated like a raw prospect, still needing to prove himself. Despite outperforming everyone in drills that actually matter.
Back to Shedeur in that hungry dogs, kind of the opportunity period. There was a one-on-one for the push-ups on the line. Luke Floria made a great move on kind of a deep over, got around the corner. It had to be layered in kind of over him out in front. It was a perfect ball from Shedeur. So, yeah, I've been very, very impressed with him. And, you know, all people saying, oh, it's going to be a circus, it's going to be a circus. It's absolutely nothing. He comes in, he works really hard, and he's...
At some point, the tape has to speak louder than the scouting report. And right now, the tape is screaming. But that's not even the most blatant sign something's off. If you thought the QB controversy was just about performance, think again. It's also about preparation, or in this case, the lack of it. Sources inside Oregon's summer workouts say Shedeur Sanders has been getting significantly fewer first-team reps than Gabriel. Despite outperforming him in most competitive situations, coaches justified it as maintaining continuity with the returning offensive core. But it gets more absurd. During multiple practices, Sanders and other backups were left standing around, while the equipment staff scrambled to set up drills, wasting precious reps and disrupting the flow of practice. According to players who witnessed it, there were days Sanders would go 15 to 20 minutes without a meaningful snap. Meanwhile, Gabriel was running scripted series with full support, extra film breakdowns, tailored coaching points, and a dedicated rotation of receivers. It might sound minor, but in a position battle this close, those details matter. Reps shape rhythm. Reps build trust. Reps win jobs. If you're wondering how a former Heisman contender ends up ceding the spotlight to a transfer QB before camp even starts, you don't have to look further than these lopsided practice scripts. The next question is obvious. Who benefits from keeping it this way? When performance doesn't match opportunity, someone's making decisions for reasons that have nothing to do with football. So who benefits from Dillon Gabriel being treated like the presumptive starter? Follow the trail. Gabriel's arrival wasn't just about depth. It was a statement, a high-profile transfer, brought in with buzz and expectations. The coaching staff made headlines when they landed him. His reputation came pre-packaged, smart, experienced, polished. Naming him QB1 early would validate that move. Benching him in favor of Shedeur, that's a PR hit they might not want to take. Meanwhile, Sanders didn't transfer with the same hype. He wasn't seen as a guaranteed starter. That gave the staff an easy excuse to underplay his rise. He's still adjusting, or we're easing him into the system. But the truth is, he's already outplaying the guy they said was ready. Insiders have started to notice. Local beat reporters, even those who initially hyped Gabriel, are beginning to shift. Quiet praise for Sanders is growing. Coaches are being asked tougher questions. Because when you reward hype over production, eventually people start asking, what game are you really playing? And next, one viral clip took that question to a whole new level. It started as a quiet practice rep. No crowd, no media scrum. Just Shedeur Sanders standing on the sideline, throwing to an equipment manager. Not a receiver, not a tight end, not even a walk-on. A literal staffer jogging routes so Shedeur could stay warm, while other quarterbacks got live reps with the first team. The clip hit social media within hours, and the reaction, immediate outrage. Fans didn't just see a quarterback staying loose, they saw disrespect. They saw a guy who had been outperforming his competition all camp being iced out of meaningful work. Meanwhile, Gabriel, fresh off a bad practice, was still getting top reps, high fives from coaches, and tailored receiver drills. It looked like a message, and not a subtle one. The comment section lit up. Why is Shedeur throwing to a trainer? Bro just threw a dime to a clipboard. This is political, not football. Even former players chimed in, calling it one of the most blatant mismanagements of reps they'd seen in years. Because whether it was intentional or not, it told a story the Browns didn't want told. And if you think that clip was wild, the film breakdowns made it worse. Forget the rumors, forget the politics, just watch the tape. Play after play, the difference between Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel isn't subtle. It's obvious. Gabriel's release is slower, his reads more cautious, and his deep ball, flat, inconsistent, and often underthrown. He plays like a guy trying not to make a mistake, rather than one trying to win the job. Now compare that to Sanders. He's hitting second window throws with anticipation. He's adjusting protections mid-play. He's evading pressure, resetting his feet, and firing ropes across the middle. One clip shows him baiting the safety with his eyes, then zipping a strike into the seam for a would-be touchdown. That's NFL caliber processing, and he's doing it without the full support system Gabriel gets every snap. Coaches preach, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. Well, the eye is screaming. Every frame of film shows who's really in control. And even players, off the record, are saying the same thing. Sanders looks like QB1. But here's the kicker. The longer the team ignores the tape, the louder the outside pressure grows. And if the Browns don't pivot soon, this could explode into something much bigger than a preseason depth chart. If the Browns give Sanders the keys, it signals a bold new direction. A fresh start built on confidence, speed, and fearless playmaking. But if they stick with Dillon Gabriel despite the glaring film and mounting whispers, questions about leadership and vision will only intensify. One thing is clear, the Browns are at a crossroads. The next few weeks will reveal whether they have the courage to embrace change or fall back on familiarity. Either way, this isn't just a quarterback battle. It's a potential turning point for the entire organization. And as the cameras roll and the whistles blow, one truth remains. In football, talent and grit always find a way to rise to the top. Stay tuned. The Browns' future might be closer than you think.